What's up? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Coaching. I am John Kitchens, and I'm excited for our guest today as we're going to dive into a lot of things. But before we jump in, if you guys have missed any of the previous episodes, head over to YouTube at John Kitchens Coach, I believe, and subscribe and hit that little bell. I think get notified when we go live. So. Good morning. Lisset, how are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic. I appreciate you making the time and jumping in and hanging out with us this morning. I know you're a very, very busy woman on the go all the time. And that's kind of, hey, we gotta, make some time for some fishing too, right?
Of course. Well, it's an honor to be here, John. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you. And Lisset, just give everybody, kind of tuning in with us a little background, a little bit about yourself and kind of where you're hanging out these days.
Well, right now I'm originally from Cuba. I was not born in this country. I'm actually part of the history. I came through the Mariel boat lift in 1980. I was a kid. So yeah, it's been, for me, I love to grind and, do the things because I was given an opportunity. That's why the 4th of July, as I was sitting on my boat this weekend and I'm listening to the fireworks, to me, that's the sound of freedom, and I don't take it light. We migrated to this country, my parents and I, my brothers, we were lucky enough to, my parents actually took the leap of faith, right? To get on a boat 1980 and come to this country with nothing. We're blessed that my aunt came to pick us up. We're blessed that my grandmother insisted for her to go pick us up. But yeah, my life has always been, a blessing, and I'm always blessed and give forward, right, to help others. I'm in Naples. I became a realtor 16 years ago. Went to, finish my high school, my whole life, my father has always been an entrepreneur and innovator. So he had a little business when we came from Cuba and, did fruits, and we did the fruits and we packed them up and we gave them to the lunch boxes. So all my life I've always been around people that are, my dad has always instilled in me, work for yourself, do the things for yourself. So I finished high school, and from there, I started working with my dad, and then I met Jose, my husband, and then he's like, well, what are we going to do? So I started working. I got myself a job. I was actually going to school to be an architect because I love to draw and love to do things like that. And I got myself a job at a bank. Actually, I just started. This is 1992. I finished high school, 1992. I am going to get myself a job as a receptionist, working my way while I'm going to college. And I liked it. It was actually private banking. And I got into the stock market and everything else. And I came in as a receptionist, and I ended up 12 years later as the head of the stock market, department. And we used to, trade. We used to do so many things. It was very, very stressful. But fast forward to today, I made the decision and I pressed a button and I said, reset once I have my kids. And we'll talk about that later. But I had enough of everything. And once you become a mom and things change for you, your goals change. And even though you want to head in this direction, sometimes you say, you know what, it changed and I'm now going here. And I just landed as a realtor, 16 years ago because of what I wanted, what I was unhappy with, and I wanted to change. And I've been here for 16 years in Naples as a realtor and changing lives and helping others.
Yeah, it's so cool. So you were what, 4 or 5 when you?
No, I was actually 10 years old.
Oh, you were 10. Okay.
Yeah, I was 10 years old when we came here. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
pretty much
So,
remember everything we went through.
yeah. So you remember even life before and then obviously life after. Like,
I remember everything, pretty much things that my parents don't even remember. I remember. I'm the youngest of three. We're three. We lived with my grandmother and my parents. So in Cuba, when the government took over, my grandmother had two other homes, but the government took them away. So when my parents got married, my thought behind my grandmother's thought was, okay, one of the homes will be for my son. When he gets married, he has a home, but that was taken away from her. So we all lived. Imagine living with your, wife, your kids, and your mother-in-law. So that's got to be hard. For my parents, it was very rough,
yeah.
and all three of us, we were something. um, and I mean, it was tough, And then my mom's family migrated in 1969 to this country, and my grandmother always kept wanting to bring us to this country. But her brother actually worked for the government and didn't want my mom to leave. They didn't want it. So it made it impossible every single time that my grandmother tried to bring us to the country, that we just couldn't. And even when the Marriott boat lift opened up, my aunt was there for 30 days waiting for us to be able to board the boat. While everybody was leaving, they would just not give us a green light. So it was a rough, but it was a rough decision that as a parent, if I would have had to make that was rough, because my parents had to come here, start from scratch, but for a better future for us, basically, and for my kids.
Yeah. And, just hearing you, share your, just kind of reflection, even over the 4th of July, and I just, like, you don't take one day for granted. And like, and I've had the opportunity, you and I have been, working together for long enough to, we have conversations that we see about other people that, they just don't understand, it's almost an entitlement, right? And like, you don't take one day for granted. And, your husband's the same way. You've instilled that, those are your principles that you live by. How, I just love for you to just kind of unpack that and share a little bit more, kind of your perspective on how you see things, because a lot of people don't have that, to be able to share from that experience. Gary Vee talks about it all the time, right? He's like, I have an advantage, from where I came from, my previous experience to what I have in my DNA. I have an advantage. And I see that in you as well.
Well, it's funny that you say that, but my mom went back to Cuba 10 years ago just to visit her aunt. And she went to visit our house. And when she came back, she goes, what would have been of you guys? Everybody's just, throughout the day, they're not doing anything. They're just sitting there at night. There's no light. There's no food. They became doctors, all my cousins. They became all this stuff that they can do nothing with. So to me, it's that blessing of knowing that my parents took that leap of faith, that my aunt said, okay, let me go pick you up, and gave us a better future. That I don't take it light, because what would have done? My family would have been totally different. I would have never met my husband. So everything would have been completely different than the life that I'm living today. And I bet there's a lot of dreams of a lot of people that write their dreams from that little island of the things that they've wanted to do that they haven't been able to accomplish because they can't. It's a totalitarian there, even though it's a dictatorship, so you can't do much, so to be able to have the blessing to do what we do, to be able to have, I give thanks every morning. God, thank you for my home. Thank you for my car. Thank you for every little thing that we have, just because I know I work hard for it. People don't realize how hard people work to get where they get. They only see the end product. But to me, it's just a blessing all day long to be able to have the things we have and be able to give a better future to my kids.
Yeah, 100%. Have you been back?
Never. And I won't until the government's done. That's just me. My mom and I don't see eye to eye. My parents see differently. But for me, They threw eggs at us. They left my brother behind. I mean, and it's not like I'm upset about the whole thing. It's just that as long as there is a, a dictatorship there, that I know that they're going to get most of the money and it's not going to go to the people, I don't want to go there. I don't be part of that. And that's just me. You know, my mom sees it different. It's like, oh, it's just your family there. You got to go see them. I'm like, I understand, but it's not you. It's not my brothers. It's just long cousins that, you know, I don't really talk to. I don't know them anymore. So I just don't want to be, I'll help them because we do all the time. Jose's aunt's there. All her cousins are there, immediate cousins. His mom's sister, they're all there. But, and we help them every single month just because they, you know, they don't even have food right now, you know?
Wow. So let's kind of shift a little bit, you know, for you know, the entrepreneurial DNA, you know, sounds like your dad kind of instilled that into you, and, you know, getting into kind of the banking side of things. I bet that drove you crazy, you know, working for someone and following, you know, those guidelines and putting a lid on your opportunity. What for you, why real estate?
I just landed on it. To be honest with you, I had no idea. And I'm going to tell you, you know, I think the D in me, it just makes me unhappy. There's a, you know, when that lid comes on, I don't know what it is. I'm just unhappy and I need to change something. And that's really what happened. So to go back to when the banking, you know, I came in as a receptionist, very young. I was still in, you know, college, still helping my father. By the way, my dad at the time had a cafeteria. We'll wake up at 3. I will go help him, run the cafeteria for him, a laundry next door, run all that with both of them, go to school, and then come back to help them finish, close up, and still go to school and finish. So it was just like a grind. I had to help my parents. To me, it wasn't like you have to. Like nowadays, you see kids, you know, let me have, as opposed to that, what can you don't have to pay me. I'm here to help you. What can we do? So I mean, being the youngest, my 2 brothers had already married. I was always with my parents. I did all the checks. I did everything for them. So that always stayed with me that, you know, I have to help them. So I started going, here I am, you know, we're going to get married. You know, what am I going to do? I don't have a job. I'm just helping my parents. I don't even get paid. So I went and I just applied. I got myself a job at a financial institution, but this was a private bank. A credit, you know, Credit Suisse back in the days. So I started as a receptionist, but I knew I didn't want to be a receptionist. I want to be where the money is. I want to be where the marketing side. I want to be. So I remember I knew nothing about this, and I started, and within less than a year, I was already in the back because I would say, okay, what do you need me to do? I'm just picking up the phone. I have nothing else to do. Give me something to do. I'm gonna go crazy. So we used to deal with Brazil, Chile, Argentina, all these countries that a lot of Brazilians will call and I wouldn't understand. So I took a class just so I could understand them and I would talk to them. And then I know that, okay, I want to be able to work with Brazil, Argentina, Chile. So what do I have to do? I have to go to the back. So I remember the operations, head of the operations department wanted me to go work for the operations department. Like, no, that's not where the money is at. That's not what's going to make me happy. I want to go to sales. I want to be able to sell people something. And I don't know. That was just me. It's my DNA. So eventually within a couple of years, I was already on the back. I was working for that, you know, the sales department without having a financial, you know, degree. I was working, I was helping them. I was the assistant to the head of the marketing department and the sales department for Brazil and Argentina. And I was there for like 6 years. I learned as much as I could. I was the first one in, I was the last one out. I just wanted to learn, you know, how do I do this until I maxed out? You know, okay, what do I do? The head of that Brazil department leaves to another institution and says, hey, you want to come? I have an opportunity for you. I'm like, okay. I mean, in the beginning, it was hard because you get nervous. I'm like, okay, do I have to do this? And that's one part that, you know, people sometimes freeze up and they stay stuck and unhappy for the rest of their life, as opposed to taking a leap of faith and just jumping in the pool, even if it's cold, and just go for it. You know, and I thought about it for a day. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to jump in. I changed institutions, and that was the best thing that I did. Actually, now is UBS, where I was working at, and I was the head of the you know, our local I was in Miami then, our local, department, and I actually was the head of a bunch of young kids. They had like all these degrees, and they were actually investors, and and I was their boss, and I was like, God, what is this girl here that just came from Cuba not too long ago doing here? But I just took it from there to the point that I got to the top. I was like, okay, this is the ceiling. I don't want to travel. And then I get pregnant with my daughter, and everything changed. Once you're a mother, everything changes completely. And I was like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to be home with my daughter. But that couldn't happen because we had all these bills to pay and all these things to pay.
Sure.
And I couldn't tell Jose, I'm like, I'm leaving. You take care of the house. So then a couple of years later, I get pregnant with David, my son. And I was like, okay, this has to be it. I don't know what we're going to do, but I don't want to do this anymore. Something has to change. My father had already moved to Naples, and he was just doing, real estate on the side. He was just buying and flipping lots and buying lots and flipping lots. And I would do it with him sometimes. I'm like, Dad, I have this money, Dad, what do I do? So he's like, okay, let's buy this lot and we'll go half and we'll split it. And with it. So then we started investing in homes. So we started, fixing homes and flipping it, and my husband and my dad and myself, and we started doing these things. This is back in 2002. Now the market is going up, right? So 03, David is born, and I said, okay, I'm done. I don't know what we're going to do, but I've had enough. I'm quitting the bank. I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm not working at the bank anymore. I was just miserable. I had gotten to the point that I was at the top, and at the same time, I wasn't happy because I wanted to be a mom and I wanted to be with my kids. So it was like breaking me apart, like, okay. And to me, I go back and I think of sometimes, even though you have a goal but things change as your life changes, and you need to be willing to say, okay, for now, I'm happy here. And then when that changes, I'll be happy. And I think that's the purpose in life, being happy, helping others and being happy. If you're not happy and you're miserable, change it, change it. And John, I sold everything. We sold our house, put it up in the market. I quit my job. I literally said, okay, I'm done. Thank God my husband wasn't upset about it. He's like, okay, whatever you want to do. And my dad is like, come over here, live with us for a while and see what you're going to do. So we went over to his house. We bought a lot. And my husband built our house where we've been for 16 years.
That's so cool. Yeah.
And that's how I got into real estate.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, there's so much there, right? And I can just tell the influence your dad had on you. Just where's the money? Work hard. Where's the money? Where's the opportunity? And I think too, you have this DNA, you have this belief that, you can start from nothing because you've seen it and you've done it. So being able to have such a strong belief in yourself and your abilities that you can do anything that you want if you just put the work in to make that happen.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so cool. So, I just kind of said from the beginning, I know your happy place is out fishing, and so is it always been as kind of your thing to go where did that love for fishing start?
Well, my husband. So yeah. I actually like it more than him, and I'm very competitive. So when we're fishing, you're like, you can't catch the bigger fish than I can. No way. So when we were dating, we dated for 6 years. His dad had a boat. So his dad actually taught me and him, both of them, like, this is how you do it. And I just loved it. I loved the fact of having to wait. It was kind of a disconnection from everything else. You got to wait for the fish to, bite, and you got to feel it, and you got to feel the line. And I learned it. And I just loved the feeling of being able to disconnect from a lot of the things through having the patience to wait for the fish. And it's just an art, I think.
Yeah. It's so cool. I always, you guys listening, I always give her a hard time. Did we go fishing this week? Did we go fishing this week? Because it is that recharge, right? We all have to have that disconnect to where, it's almost, it's a form of like mindfulness, just kind of an active meditation, when you're able to find something like that. So I think it's really cool. So fast forward, here we are, even where you're at today, definitely, share, your love for giving back, I think is really, really cool. And, you're sitting on, several boards or just one right now, just the
Right now, just one. I was in a few, but I had to scale it down because there's a lot of things going on. But right now, I'm part of NAREP. I've been part of actually NAREP, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, for the past, I would say, 4 or 5 years. We launched the chapter here in, I think, '08. So we've been like recruiting, like this past year with COVID, it was tough, just because of everything that we've gone through. But yeah, give back. We actually do a lot of educational events. I was past president 2 years ago, and still in the board, just helping out and growing it and just giving back to realtors. Most of it is, the Hispanic homeownership is almost a 50% throughout, and Naples is no different, believe it or not. So, I mean, we're a big part of that GDP. So being able, and just because, some people think, oh, Hispanic, oh, I don't speak Spanish. And that's not the case. I mean, we do everything in English. We educate the realtors that are actually going to be working with those Hispanic buyers and sellers. And a lot of times those Hispanic buyers and sellers speak English like me. Even though we have an accent, still there. So, but yeah, I mean, we're just educating them as to, what is out there, the products, investing. Like we're going to have actually the next event is going to be about investing. Are you investing? And I believe that's huge, because as a realtor, if you are helping a buyer and a seller buy their first property, you should also be educating them as to, okay, save 20%. So you can buy that investment property and focus on that generational wealth for you and your kids later on. So, that way you can teach the Hispanic community how to save and how to make it through real estate investment and what to do and how to do it. So if we are educated as realtors, now we can give back and educate our buyers and sellers. That's the idea.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And yeah, I think when we started working together, you were on multiple boards, and we was like, wait, we gotta we gotta like go pick one here.
Yes, I was part of the local real estate, NABOR, which is our local chapter here. I'm still got to go back and give back and help them because I was part of their leadership academy. But it's just that, through COVID and the market gotten crazy and growing the team and everything, I just had to scale back. Sometimes you have to step back to be able to move forward. And that's actually what we did.
100%. Yeah, no, it is. It's really, really cool. Especially, as involved as you are, and, as high up in leadership and being able to give, it's really cool. What are you kind of anticipating out there in Naples, out in the market, kind of what, kind of forecasting to see real estate wise in the future?
I mean, I'm going to go back a little. When I got my license in '05, I think it was mid '05, we had just moved here in '04. I decided to go for my license. It was '05, I got it. And coming with that background of the stock market, and it doesn't change. I mean, it doesn't behave any different than when you see a bunch of people getting in and what's going to happen later. I mean, you kind of have that anticipation, or if there's no movement. So I get my license in '05. The real estate crash is what, in '07, everything's going crazy. I had just gotten my license in '05. I literally got that license to flip our things, to basically, invest, look for something interesting, get a lot. And then I started getting into the real estate, the residential real estate. And my dad is like, what are you doing that for? I'm like, Dad, it's kind of fun. He's like, oh, you can just stick to the lots and, do this and do that. Yeah. So I was like, Dad, it's okay. I have one buyer that wants to buy this particular property. It's okay. I'll do it. And he was like, oh, you're good. You can do this. So I started doing the residential, and I started getting, hey, this is not bad. And the market was hot back in the days, right? You would put a sign on the door, and literally the cars were stopping. Like, take off the sign. I want to take that house. I'm qualified. So when '07 hit, we had just listed a property, I would say end of '06, and it went very quickly. We had another one, two actually, side by side that we had just built. And I listed it and I was like, something's wrong. There's not a lot of people actually calling me for the home. And it was just like this thing in my heart that said, something is going on. I don't know what it is. But I mean, coming from the financial institution, you kind of say, okay, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I had an offer to buy for both homes. And I went to my dad, and that's, having that partnership with my dad and my husband and everybody. I said, Dad, this is not a bad offer. They're offering to buy both homes. The market looks a little weird. I don't know what's going on, but it's weird. Let's take it. He's like, oh, no, I don't want to take that. That's too low, blah, 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 blah. And we didn't. And then at the end, lucky for us, we broke even. We broke even with those two homes. And that's, the power of the partnership. And sometimes that's why I like to do things on my own. Say, listen, I'm going to do this, because it's hard to have a partner that doesn't think like you sometimes. Or maybe my dad was more old fashioned and I was like thinking forward and things like that. And that's pretty much what happened. And a lot of short sales at the days. And I came across the short sales because I didn't know anything. I mean, I didn't know what to do. My husband's a general contractor. We're not building any homes. The market slowed down completely. My phone's not ringing. So I'm going, oh my goodness, we had just built this home. What are we going to do? So a lady calls me up and says, hey, listen, I don't know what to do. I don't, right now we're having a guy tells me that he wants to buy my home as a short sale. And I don't know what that looks like. What do you mean a short sale? I'm like, listen, I don't know. But let me find out, because I'm like that. If I don't know, I'm not going to say I don't know how to do it. I don't know, but let me find out. So I started making a few phone calls, and I'm like, oh, I need to do this. And actually, I remember Jay Kinder, Michael Reese had a lot of the stuff going on, and that's how I knew them from back then. I got a couple courses, and I started killing it with short sales, killing it. So that's what a lot of people say, okay, my market is the market that I make. Either you're going to thrive or you're not going to thrive. It doesn't matter about the market, so if it's going to do this, then shift your thinking, think the way you do things, and look for the money, look for the market, help as many people as you can, and the more money will come in. And I was never focused on, I need to make money. Yeah, I needed to pay the bills, but I wasn't more focused on that. I was more focused, okay, what do I need to learn? How better do I need to be? So I could, help people and in turn, get my money. And I got into the short sales, and then
because that's where the money was.
Real estate. It was like listing after listing on short sales. And people would knock on my door. Hey, I need to do this. How can you help me? Yeah. And to this day, I'm like, you help me with my short sale. I want you to sell my home now. So that's how I get a lot of the repeat customers. But to go back to today, the market is very weird. Everything has shifted. So we went from pre-COVID having a lot of inventory here to, and I remember in the middle of COVID, a few buyers that I had, I said, listen, when this opens up, these properties that you're seeing right now are not, that was just me. They're not going to be here. It's just that the demand and the supply. Yeah. These properties, when everybody comes in, it's going to be gone. And they still thank me. Oh my God, Lisa, thank God. I actually just saw one yesterday. He works selling tile, and we went to get some tiles for, fixing up the house. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so grateful for you because of you telling me not to do it, just go and buy the home. I'm sitting on so much equity right now. And yeah, to me right now in this market, very little inventory. I'm seeing a little bit of that demand ease up a bit, just a little bit. If you're pricing it way too high, it's going to sit there a little bit. But if you're pricing it right, it's going to fly off the shelf. Yeah. Right now, we still have the forbearance until the end of July. If we see a bunch of people saying, hey, I cannot make my payment, I need to, sell, I don't think they need to short sell because the market has gone up. Unlike back in 2007, people were so leveraged into their property, getting all these lines of credit that they had no equity. They couldn't sell. They had a short sell. I don't see that now yes, we might have, if we do have a bit more of an inventory, supply, then we might be able to have that balance back in the market. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%. And it just, you know, brought back some painful memories talking about the short sales. So we had the listing folders, right, for all the properties, the NEBs or wherever you could order them from, and you know, it had you could write all the information on it. So we had colors, we had different colors, and so I think most of them were gray, but we had like properties that we were buying might be green, properties that, you know, we were to flip or whatever were blue, but short sales were red. And I remember when there were more red folders than any other folders, and it was like, oh, it was red for a reason. It was like, it was painful. So I definitely,
it was a growing pain because at the very beginning, banks didn't know anything. Everybody was lost. And I mean, I remember saying, hey, this is a really good offer based on what I see. And they're like, I want the amount that they owe. It's not going to happen. And then a year later, they lost it to foreclosure, and then they sold it for, I mean, it was like, but I think it was just that they didn't know. Things are totally different now. I think if we would head into that direction, everything will be totally different because banks have already been there, done that, you know?
Yeah, I think we're good. I think you're right. I mean, there's so much equity, and you know, people, you know, if they're in that situation, I really think, you know, if they're going to sell, now is probably the best time for them to be able to do that, to get out of it. How is being, you know, I always get curious, right? When you've got a husband and wife that are both entrepreneurs and just have that type of mindset. How do you guys kind of juggle that entrepreneurial dynamic, and, you know, both kind of in the real estate realm, right? In the industry, how is life with another entrepreneur?
I mean, to me, I'm blessed all around. I can tell you. I mean, I work and live and with my best friend. I mean, we complement each other. We respect each other. I mean, I love being with him. He loves being with me. So every time we have, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm gonna go see a client. What are you doing? You want to come? You know, it's like we're always hanging out with each other. So I'm the numbers person. I love numbers, and he leaves that for me. So I'll do this Excel spreadsheet, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Let's jump on it. How much is it going to cost? So that's when I bring him in. Honey, tell me, well, how much is that going to cost? So we complement each other when it comes to like a flip or things like that. Because listen, I saw this great property. What do you think? Let's jump on it. Let's go, and we'll go see it. He'll look at the numbers right away. Okay, put an offer. So, and we're always thinking, you know, we complement each other. I'm the crazy one. I'm the one that wants to take the risk. He used to say, hold on, we have too many properties. I'm like, the money will come, we'll find it. Wait a minute. So he's the one that has to put me the stop, because I will buy them all. That's just me. If it makes sense, I tell them, I'll look for the money. Don't worry about that. Let's get it done. And just this morning in the NAREB meeting, we were talking about investments and things like that. People are like, oh, right now we can't invest. I just flipped the property. I just closed it. And we made good money. So I think it all depends, you know, what you look at and how you look at it. If the numbers make sense, you can make money in any market. And I mean, for us, you know, he has his inspection side. I give him ideas, but he kind of runs that by himself. He's very good at managing people. I'm horrible at managing people. So sometimes I'm like, could you step in and, you know, interview this person for me, you know, because I'm nice. I just like everybody. So again, to me, it's just a blessing to be able to be an entrepreneur. I don't take the flexibility of being self-employed lightly. I still think that, you know, you got to have a schedule. Because we do it when I did it when I was employed by another institution. Why can you do it for yourself? And a lot of times people get into that, you know, like, oh yeah, now I want the freedom. But then if you have too much freedom, God, my friend, then you're not going to have any money. So you got to balance it out. You know, you kind of have everything so perfect. And I learned that because I love everything perfect, but then you're not going to have a lot of deals. Yes, you're going to have everything perfect, but how many deals can you do? So you got to have that balance and that mindset of like, hey, yeah, I'm going to be able to have everything, be balanced, but at the same time. So my husband kind of gives me that balance. We love spending time with each other. If it was for him, he would be at that St. James Beach house every day. But I'm like, we can't do that. He's like, can we work from there? I'm like, no, because we go fishing. So yeah, I love working with him, and I'm very blessed to have him in my life.
Yeah, that's so cool. What on the investment side of things, like what are some of the things that like you're looking for? Like what's to you your kind of your criteria? What's a good investment? Like how kind of share that process if you don't mind.
So for me, anything that if I could make, for example, I always look at if I'm making at least 20% on a property. Like I cannot put like say $20,000 to fix it and make only 10. That doesn't make any sense because I'm putting more money out of my pocket. So I have to at least double what I'm putting out of my pocket. That's the way that I see it.
Gotcha.
This particular property that we just did, we put out, I think the Excel spreadsheet was like we made about, in 3-4 months, about 40 something percent. So annualized, we're looking at about a good 100 and something percent. That's what I like. Because what happens if the market flips? What happens if it shifts? I don't want to be caught up with something. So yeah. I always look at it that if I don't spend a lot of money, I could always rent it, hold it for a year, and then we can sell it. So always buy 70 to 75% of the fair market value. That's how I look at it. So if I look at a property and say, okay, it's fair market value, I'm going to buy 70 to 75%. Jose, how much is it going to cost me to fix it? I reduce that amount from that point. And then I say, okay, Mr. Seller, I'm offering you this. This last property that we bought, actually, I think her dad, was older. He was a hoarder. The house was a mess, had a lot of animals. They don't have any money to fix it. Yeah. Or get it to that top dollar. So I'm like, I'll come in. Flexibility, you want the flexibility of being able to get cash right now, or you can fix it yourself and then put it in the market. So what is it that you want? The convenience of getting it sold. So if you want that convenience, we'll get in, we'll get cash. You don't need to do anything. We'll get it out. But yeah, always looking to at least double what I put in.
I love that. That's awesome. Are you just through natural day-to-day real estate, or do you have certain ways that you're looking to find opportunities, or is it just as you're going about your day-to-day?
So 2 things is, number one, I, talk to other realtors. Hey, if you come across a deal, please let me know. I'll buy it from you. And myself and Jose, because remember, Jose does home inspections. So he knows a lot of realtors. So he's always telling them, listen, you let me know. And, you could always represent me if you find something. And even though I'm a realtor, he tells them, you can always represent me, because if we're going to make money, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So we're always word of mouth, letting them know that this is what we do. And a lot of times they call us. If it makes sense, we buy it. There's also wholesalers that, call us and give us deals. If it makes sense, we buy them as well.
That's awesome. I think, yeah, just developing that relationship. And the cool thing that what you said with Jose is like, hey, like, that's not a threat, right? Like, just if you do the deal, we're going to honor it with you. And that does, we did that in Lawton as well. And you have to do that. You have to be able to, build that relationship and build that trust, and, that they're still going to not get cut out of it if they bring the deal to you.
Yeah, reputation is key. Throughout the 16 years that we've both been here, we're both very respected in our industry. They know that we don't do things. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And it's just that respect that people know that, ethically, I'm going to do the right thing. Both of us.
100%. So, I'm had the opportunity to work with you, and it's just I'm learning even more about you just and just unpacking today's conversation. What are you just the most excited about moving forward?
Wow, I mean, for me right now, like I mentioned, I press a reset button, and I'm going to do what I did back in 2004. Not that I'm unhappy, but as we get older, you want to plan ahead and you want to do things differently. Our kids both are older. More and more, we're finding ourselves alone every single weekend because they're out and about, right? So is it better for us to have a big house and have all these things and all these toys and all these things? Or is it better to scale down, pay off everything, and make a plan that in 2 to 3 years, we're going to be better off, in our future, for us to be able to enjoy our grandkids, whenever they come, enjoy our kids, go on vacation. To me, I want to have my family together. So if it means that every year, twice a year, say, hey, kiddos, come along. We're going to, whatever, Italy. We're going to on a cruise. We do that every single year with a group of friends that I've known since, middle school. 23 of us get together, them and their kids, and we all go together. Last year, we were actually going to get a Mediterranean cruise, and that got canceled out because of COVID, and we're already planning for next year. So I want to be able to say, hey, kids, it's on me, So I want to be able to plan for that future, that I don't run into the situation that, being older and I don't have money and I need to depend on the government to take care of me. I don't want that. I want to depend on me. So I want to be able to create that wealth now that I'm young, not later on. So we're getting our home ready, put it on the market. It's been about a month and a half that we've been just, playing with it and doing the bathrooms and, checking yesterday was the chimney that we're, refurbishing that and getting that ready. And we're all excited. Actually, my kids are going, Mom, when do we pack? So they're actually looking forward to, okay, we're going to do this. I'm going to pay off everything. I'm still going to have money left over to be able to buy something and be free and clear. And like we both agree upon it. Like, what would that look like? That every single month, everything that I have and everything that you have, we're pouring back to our business and investments. And what would that grow to in a couple of years? And that was that mindset that said, you know what, we need to shift. And I know we love our home, and that was hard because we have a bunch of trees that my husband's planted there. It's just hard. I have when we are 15-year anniversary, we have a tree there. It's like, it's hard, but at the same time, we know that we cannot be emotionally attached to a property that it's actually, it's not it. For me, it's making memories. For me, it's being able to be financially free. For me to be able to have the freedom to do whatever I want with my kids. So that's what that future is looking for right now.
Yeah. It's all about freedom. It is. That is the goal. And that's so cool. There's many of ways to get there, but just understand, the destination is freedom. So it's really cool. Lisset, I greatly appreciate you making the time, jumping in, sharing your story. So inspiring, and, really just a testament to, anything is possible that, once you get clear on what it is that you want, and then just go after it.
Thank you, John. And thank you for all you do for us. I love coaching with you. You're awesome. And honor again to be here with you.
It's all mine. I appreciate you. Thank you, Lisset. Appreciate you guys.
You,
we'll see you guys next time. See you.
Thank you, guys.